And we are live. This is the MLB Strategy Show. It is Monday, September 11th. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down an 11-game MLB slate. We still have 50K up top. It is not the relay throw. It is the back throw, maybe? That doesn't make sense. It's something else. Either way, it's a decent enough slate, even with Monday Night Football. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's up, everybody? I hope you enjoyed your NFL Sunday. I sort of did. Got wrecked on DK. Ended up finishing 10th in the Owner's Box contest, which all it did was allow me to basically break even, but I'm happy with that finish. I had a chance. I needed that final Dolphins touchdown that went to Hill to go to Waddle. It would have been fine if it went to Mostert as well. I didn't mind that it went to Hill, but that blocked me out of climbing. Whereas if one of those guys were the ones that scored, it would have been very, very helpful. Oh, well, I'll take it. Well, Steven, even on Owner's Box, not so even on DraftKings. So there's that. All right. I want to pull up Stochastic quickly so I can grab data. I need to open up my Crunch workbook so that I can load in whatever lineups I'm about to be playing, which I assume is going to be a lot of the Cubs because the Cubs are in Coors, which is very, very, very annoying. I'm so sick of Coors. It's just, I feel like the Rockies just play at home every day. It's kind of nuts. They either play at home or they're in San Francisco. I feel like that's the only two places the Rockies are ever playing. It's really annoying. All right, let me grab our top pitchers, our top batters, our top whatevers. I'm going to refresh my model to see what I have right now. This is just going to be a sick amount of Cubs, especially with where I see the ownership right now. Oh, not as much as I thought. Go Yankees, go Red Sox, I guess. That's helpful. Am I just way heavier on the Cubs than we are? 24% top stack. I have 23% Cubs. Where do we have them in top stack? Top pitcher, easy. We'll grab that, pop that in, and we'll switch to top stacks. I know you guys can't see everything that I'm doing, but I am pasting this stuff in. You didn't see the beginning of my mod. Yeah, I'm much higher on the Cubs, so we'll see where we end up as we get a little bit further down the line. But we got to be out just before 11 a.m. We got to kick this one over. I assume there's an NFL show after this. I actually did not look. What is our NFL show? Do we have a recap show? We don't. Okay, never mind. We don't have to get out of here at 11. Never mind. We can take our sweet time. I read the schedule wrong. I just assumed that we had a show coming up immediately after this, but we don't. And Showdown Strategy Show happened before this. Go check that out after you're done with this one. Laffy and Makajeski breaking down Monday Night Football, Bills and Jets. I already have my contenders videos out for baseball. I already have my contenders videos out for Monday Night Football. So anything you want from me is already out. But for now, deep breath. Let's break this slate down. What do you say? Let's have some fun. Should be a good one. Game number 1. The Toronto Blue Jays are taking on the Texas Rangers. Chris Bassett going for Toronto. It's a 4.8 run implied total for the Jays. It's a 4.1 run implied total for the Rangers, who've got Dane Dunning on the hill. We've got 2% ownership coming into Bassett. We've got 1 coming into Dunning. I think Chris Bassett is pretty clearly under-owned at 2%. He's 9K. I think he should probably be somewhere in that like 8 to 10 range. I have 7%. I'm totally fine with that. Now, he has gotten absolutely bludgeoned by lefty power. Corey Seager, Nate Lowe. That's probably, I guess, Jonah Heim, if he's in the lineup. Those guys will be in a pretty decent spot. Now, Toronto does play down lefty power, 87 park factor to lefty, so that will help Bassett out a little bit. But ultimately, I don't think that we're going to be going to too much here on the pitching side. I do think Bassett's underrepresented. I do not have much interest in Dane Dunning. And then as we look at it from a hitting perspective, we have him at 4.3% top stack. I have it at 4.7. Call it 4.5 for the Jays. They're 3.5% owned. That's 13th of the 22 teams that exist. I have 4 stacks. I basically don't have this game. That's probably the easier way to describe it. The most I have of anybody other than Chris Bassett is 5% of Biggio. Second base, third base, MPE, 2,900. Just a no-brainer price tag if you need to get to somebody like that. Evan Carter up to 2,500. Not sure if he's still a cash play in that regard. I just don't like this game. Like, we're talking about a team with a, around 10th in stack score. Similar story on the Rangers side. There's not a lot of ownership coming into Chris Bassett. There's not a lot of ownership coming into Dane Dunning. The offenses are certainly interesting because there's a lot of power, but other than just picking off individual bats, I think this game is quiet. I don't know. Chat, you guys see anything different? There's 37 of you. God, wow, no one cares about baseball anymore. Holy shit. Oh, 36. It even went down now that I pointed it out. I didn't realize this was a ghost town today. Maybe you guys will show up tomorrow. We're going to have some fun then today. Joseph Campbell says, I have a lot of Astros players tonight. Is that good or bad? I don't know. We'll find out when we get to the Astros. Big time favorites against the A's. Ultimately, I don't want to get to the Blue Jays or the Rangers. I have 4% total of the hitters, and I have no more than 7% of Bassett. It ain't here. I'm not here for this one. We're going to go to Mets and Diamondbacks. And this one's about to look a lot like the previous game. Unfortunately, I'm getting to the pitchers. So it's a 4.8 run implied total for the Mets. 4.2 for the Diamondbacks. Jose Quintana going for New York. Zach Davies going for Arizona. Quintana is 3% owned. He's 7,300. He's like 6% to be a top 2 pitcher. Again, if he's 3% owned, I think he's under owned. I have 10%. I get a lot of these guys where it's not like I'm taking a giant stand. I'm just grabbing a bunch of dudes that are pulling no ownership. The same thing's happening on the opposite side for Zach Davies. Now, Zach Davies is all sorts of not good. Although much better this year, I guess. 150 x ISO to lefties, 170 to righties. He doesn't strike out lefties at all. So that's going to be pretty tricky for New York. I have 9% of Davies because he's 5,200. He's 19% to be a top value. So I want to have a little bit of the pitching. We're in New York, so we're getting a pitcher's park. Neither one of these guys should be like guys that you're really looking at. This is just filler for 150s for me. If we're talking hitting, we got to start on the Mets side. They're 11th in top stack, 6th in top value, 4th in ownership. We're showing them as massively over-owned. 4.4% stack score, 7.7% ownership. Well below the ownership here. But the ownership is really just Brandon Nimmo in 10% of lineups and Francisco Lindor in 10% of lineups. Nobody is extremely owned. They're just getting to 4th sort of by default. Now, I don't think they grade out like that at all, but they're an incredible value. It's Pete Alonso at 5,100. Everybody else is sub 5K. You're not going to have any trouble rostering Mets bats. My trouble comes in with the fact that I think that I can get teams that look like the Mets, but aren't owned at all. Or just better run environments. On the opposite side, for the Diamondbacks, 9th in top stack, 8th in top value. They're 11th in ownership at 4%. They're right in line with their stack score. I have no problem joining the ownership on Jordan Lawler. He's 10% owned, but in this case, we're projecting him to hit second at short for 2,200. This is what would be a cash type play the same way we were talking about it on Friday. You get up to the 2-hole on the road and you're a shortstop, way more likely to be a cash option. And that's why you're seeing projected ownership of 10% right now. Other than that, I have 5 Diamondback stacks. To me, that's not a lot to write home about. The first 2 games have been an exercise in grossness. I'm way more scared of the Blue Jays and Rangers bats, but there has not been a single priority in anything we've talked about just yet, other than Jordan Lawler being one of the better value options that you will find today. But now we're going to get into it because I have 12% exposure going to the Red Sox. That's third. I have 25 right now going to the Yankees. That is my most exposed team. Let's just get into it now. Red Sox and Yankees, 5.2 run implied total for Boston, 4.8 for the Yanks, Cutter Crawford for Boston, Clark Schmidt for New York. We've got 10% ownership coming into Crawford, no ownership coming into Schmidt. Now, Crawford is 6% top 2 pitcher, 22% top value. He's getting 10% ownership. That seems about right because he's 5,700. I don't have him, and it's basically for a simple reason. If he's getting 10% and there's a bunch of guys down there around him that aren't getting anything, I'm just not going to get Cutter Crawford. If he were aggressively owned, then he might look like a different play. But he sort of just looks like the best thing that exists in this range, and I don't need that in DFS. So I'm minimal on Crawford. I have no real interest in getting there. Gives up a bunch of power to lefties. That should be fine for him today. Limits it a bit more against righties. On the opposite side, we've got Clark Schmidt, 7% top 2 pitcher, 13% top 2 value. He's 6,600. I don't think he grades out well at all. Little bit of power issues against lefties. That's way worse for Schmidt. You got Verdugo, Devers, Casas, Yoshida, Abreu, Valdez. Very, very difficult situation here, I think, for Schmidt. I'm ultra low on Clark Schmidt for today. So I'm not going to be going that direction. If he's 1% owned, I might have a little bit more interest. He'll look a little bit more like maybe Gavin Stone. I don't really want pitching here. I want the offense, and that should not be surprising. We'll start with the Yankees since they're more owned. 7th in top stack, 4th in top value, 4th in ownership. I actually have them 2nd in top stack today. I think it's nobody's going to catch the Cubs, but the Astros are at home. The Red Sox are at home. The Dodgers are at home. The Yankees get the benefit of the road. So they have the locked in extra plate appearances. I think that's important. The run total looks good. The game total looks good. And the matchup looks good. And I'm getting to all of the Yankees to start the day. 7.7% ownership for the Yanks. That's the same that we have for the Mets. Now, this is a much better spot for the Yankees to me than it is for the Mets. The power of Judge, Torres, Stanton, Austin Wells, a $2,600 catcher. I love that play if he's in the lineup. Obviously not as much power at the bottom, but you do get a little bit of added flexibility. The reason the Yankees look so good to me is that they're free. 6,400 for Judge is whatever. You get one guy that's expensive. The next most expensive guy in their lineup is 4,700. I think it's just very easy to get to New York. Do I want 54 stacks of them? No, I will bring that number down as we get closer to lock. But I'd be shocked if the Yankees don't end up as one of my 3 most exposed teams. Unless this lineup just looks completely different, this is going to be a priority team to me. But I feel the same way on the opposite side for Boston. They're 5th in top stack, 16th in value. I don't agree with those numbers at all. I have them 3rd and 6th. Only Devers is north of 5K. They're a much better value with a 5+ run implied total than what we're showing here. I think that gets rectified as the day goes on. They're 7th in ownership at 6%, so slightly less owned than the Yankees. I've got 12%. I'm 2xing them. I have 23 stacks. Only Devers is at 10%. Everybody else is in single digits. Now, there's not as much flexibility for Boston. They don't have a single MPE in the lineup that I have projected. But all of this lefty power plays really well against Clark Schmidt. So the first thing that I see today, the first priority spot for me, I want as many bats as I can get in the Boston and New York game. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. I'm going to take a sip of water. Been a lot of talking. You got to figure, guys. I've done 4 videos already, and now I got to do an hour of baseball. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. Stephen Leibowitz hitting me up with the weather issues for Boston. Yeah, I think we're going to have weather issues in a lot of places. I'm skipping all of that until we get to closer to lock. It's just not going to be worth it. There's, New York and Boston, Arizona and the Mets, Rays, Minnesota, potentially some Royals, White Sox, or it's not even crazy to see some issues pop up in Chicago and Colorado, but it's not like you're paying those pitchers, so that should be fine. All right. Hit that like button if you're here. We're up to 70 now. People are slowly trickling in. So hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll talk about the schedule for the rest of the day. That's very simple. There is not a show after me immediately, which is what I thought it was. 6 p.m. tonight. Greg, Eric, MLB Live Before Lock, taking you all the way up to 7 o'clock. And then you get Laffy and Neil, 7:15, Monday Night Football, Live Before Lock, talking all things Showdown in the lead up to kickoff for the first Monday Night Football game of the year. Fantastic. Twins and Rays, 3.7 run implied total for the Twins, 4 for the Rays. We've got 8% ownership coming into Sonny Gray at 8,800. I think that's pretty much spot on. He should be around 10. We have him as a 12% top 2 pitcher. Maybe he's a little bit lighter than he should be, but totally feel good about getting to Sonny Gray. Tough spot. The Rays are good. I think 10% looks fine. Tyler Glasnow on the opposite side. That's probably a bit of a talking point for us. Glasnow is 10,800. That is the most expensive arm on today's slate. He is 21% owned. We have him 21% to be a top 2 pitcher. I have him 24% to be a top 2 pitcher. I think his proper ownership is probably in that 15 to 20 range. That's exactly where he is. I have 15. I wouldn't mind being anywhere from 15 to 30. That range is all fine. You got to get there. There's so much strikeout upside in Glasnow's arm. I've got the Twins strikeout rate for today, independent of Glasnow, at 25%. That is a high-level strikeout matchup. Glasnow striking out 35% of lefties and 32% of righties. I got him projected for 7.4. Might as well pull it up right now and find out what the actual strikeout prop is for Tyler Glasnow today. And as we get there, it is 8.5, under 8.5, minus 130. So probably around 8. I'm a half strikeout shy. I think he looks perfect around 20%. Really, really nice spot. You just got to pay for it. No problem there for me. For Sonny Gray, I just don't have much to say here. This is very much a pitching matchup. We have the Twins 21st in top stack, 19th in ownership. We have the Rays 15th in top stack, 18th in ownership. I have 1% of the Twins, 1.8% of the Rays. I don't see how you go to offense here unless you're just simply treating this like a game where you want to be on the opposite side of like Glasnow's ownership, or to be different just to be different. It's very difficult for me to recommend bats. Whatever of the low, loud duo that's going for the Rays today, they're the only guys that have more than 1%. Kirilloff is in 3%. My focus here is on the pitching. I prefer Glasnow to Gray based on my ownership. The public prefers it as well. There's not a lot to talk about in this game. Very nice strikeout matchup for Glasnow. What's his strikeout? What's his alternate line? 10 plus strikeouts for Tyler Glasnow today is plus 190. 9 or more is even money, plus 102. So he's minus 900 for 6 or more. I really like Glasnow tonight in a really nice strikeout matchup. I don't want much more in this game. White Sox and Royals. Dylan Cease going for the White Sox. Brady Singer going for the Royals. Cease is 23% owned at 8,300. We have him 11% top 2 pitcher, 7% top value. I have him at 21 and 18. So I'm seeing this one a little bit different than we are. And I'm more in line with where the ownership is. That 23% ownership does stand out today. And if we just want to talk our way through Cease, it's a fantastic strikeout matchup. I have the Royals strikeout rate at 26%. Let's go ahead and pull up the strikeout prop for Cease. Let's get a better idea of where that stands. Where's it hiding? Is it not out? Am I blind? White Sox, Royals. This one might not exist. Is that real? Is there not a line on this game right now? White Sox, Royals. Not on FanDuel, there's not. All right, well, we'll look at those props later. That's for sure. Either way, let's talk Cease. On the season, 22% K rate to lefties, 31% strikeout rate to righties, 150 x ISO to lefties is the high mark between the two. So while the park does play up power a little bit, and the Royals certainly have power, the strikeouts here are in full effect. Like I said, 31% to righties. We have Sal Perez striking out 25% against righties. Nelson Velasquez, 32%. Edward Olivares, only 19, but it's at the bottom of the order, so that's fine. 32% to Drew Waters. He's going to hit from the left side. 34% to Nick Pratto. He's going to hit from the left side. So he's going to pull up these lefties with massive strikeout rates and be a little bit better against the righties that are neutral. I like Cease here quite a bit. I've got 29%. I'm much more of a believer because I really like this matchup. On the opposite side, 3% ownership coming into Brady Singer. It's a decent enough strikeout matchup for Singer. I don't love the park. He's got pretty big problems with lefty power. So Oscar Colas, Yoan Moncada. White Sox lean righty pretty heavily. I actually think this is a sneak spot for Brady Singer. He's going to strike out like 19 or 20% of hitters. But like at 7,500, he's probably getting himself priced out of being a good option today. But I like that run total. And I think this matchup fits him pretty well. He's only 3% owned. I think that's underrepresenting him. He should be in that like 8 to 10 range. I have 13. I think Singer's a little sneaky. So I might have some by the end of today. Don't read too much into that. But if you're playing 150 max at low ownership, I'm not surprised that I have a little bit. As we talk about hitting, we have the Whites. I guess we're starting with the Royals. Okay, so none of this is right. Ignore our top stack odds for right now for the Royals, which I assume is what's causing the Dylan Cease issue, which I assume is because of the lack of information in this game, why there's not a line. Maybe it's not Cease, maybe it's not Singer. Maybe that's the issue we're off. But I have the Royals 10th in top stack, 9th in top value. They're a middle of the pack team. They should be a couple percentage points owned. If you want to be on the opposite side of the Cease ownership, I think that's the only justification. There's power. Doesn't seem like the spot, although the park helps. The White Sox are a different team, though. They're 15th in top stack. Now, that's not very good. There's only 22 teams today, but they are 3rd in value. I know they haven't been great lately, and I don't have a lot. Only 2.5%. They're 5% owned. But outside of Lou Bob at 5,600, the next most expensive guy is Eloy at 4K flat. If you're looking for value somewhere today, I don't mind it being the White Sox. It might not be the best spot against Singer just because of the way that he's set up and the way the White Sox lineup looks. But I don't mind getting here because they're so cheap. If you need to pay up aggressively elsewhere, there's power here. That Lou Bob, Eloy, Andrew Vaughn trio, something like that, I think that could play itself up in this spot. Ultimately, I think it's Cease, a little bit of Brady Singer, and then I probably don't want much else. Game number, I don't know what. Brewers and Marlins. 4.1 run implied total for Milwaukee. 3.3 for the Marlins. Brandon Woodruff on the hill for the Brewers. We're going to start there. 10,300. He is 24% owned. We have him 22% top 2 pitcher. I have him 21%. I think he's a tad over-owned for today. Probably should be right around 20. He's at 24. Realistically, I think you can go a little bit lighter. It's a terrifying spot. It's not a great strikeout matchup. I've got the K rate for the Marlins at 20%. Luis Arias doesn't strike out at all. He's in the leadoff spot here. So that's a very key point right out of the gate. Woodruff, 30% K rate to both hands. So I don't want to sleep on him in any way. He's mowing people down this year in a big way. Strikeout prop for Woodruff, 7.5. Juice to the under, so we'll probably call it 7. I'm a little lighter on Woodruff. Maybe we see the lineup look a little bit different. I don't want 24% of Woodruff. I just don't. Now, righties are dead to him here, for sure. So every righty, I mean, like, they have real power, but 0.094x ISO to righties. These guys might have some power. The De La Cruz, Jake Berger, but I don't think it's super actionable today. Lefties are the ones that are going to be able to get to him. 164x ISO to lefties. So Jazz Chisholm, Jesus Sanchez. I don't mind the idea of thinking they can get to Woodruff. I'm a little nervous at the 10-3 point. I prefer Logan Gilbert at 9,200, and I prefer Tyler Glasnow as of right now. Framber Valdez is going to be a very different conversation point. Not a believer, not as much of a believer there. But I'm happy to get to Woodruff. I think the ownership is a little high, but nothing crazy. He looks good. But the Marlins aren't bad, And there's just not a lot of strikeouts here. What's Woodruff's alternate lines? I think those would be interesting. He's even money for 8+. Okay. Minus 188 for 7+. I just don't think I'm going to end up getting there as much. The lineup for the Marlins will be key. Jesus Luzardo is on the opposite side here. Luzardo's 8,500, 34% K rate to lefties, 26 to righties. A lot of problems with righty power. And right now it looks like the Brewers are going to trot out 8 righties against Luzardo. Now, the power from William Contreras, Mark Hanna, Willie Adames, Tyrone Taylor, scary spot for Luzardo. There's just not going to be enough lefty strikeout stuff on the opposite end. He's 11% owned. That's about where it should be. I'm a little bit lighter, but anywhere around 10% seems okay for Luzardo. I don't see any scenario where you're going to the Marlins bats today. Is there power there? Yeah, but you're going up against the guy that you just don't want to target. For the Brewers, I can see it. Now we have very different data here. We're going to need a new top stack run because we have an 18th top stack, 17th top value. That's incorrect. I have them 16th top stack. So I agree with the high end, but the low end, the Brewers are a value team. The most expensive Brewer is William Contreras at 4,900. They only have 2 bats in my projected lineup above 3,800. So the Brewers are a value option, and that righty power might be a little sneaky. They're 3.8% owned. The righty power against Luzardo is where I want to focus. I'm not sure I want a full stack of Milwaukee. I only have 4 of neutral, but 3-man stacks of the power. William Contreras at 4,900, Willie Adames at 4,400. That gets you catcher short. That's a nice way to fill out a lineup elsewhere. Keep an eye there. Ooh. Shout out Brody for hitting me with the new overlay. I'm going to go ahead and grab that now and see if I could swap that bad boy in while we're talking. Let's see. How good of a producer am I of my own content? Add image, downloads. Let's see. Loading, uploading, and boom! Look at that. On the fly. We got our new banner in. Shout out to Owner's Box for putting on the best contest that existed this week. I don't have anything else to say for this game. Don't play Marlins bats. That would be good. All right, we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 games to go. So now it's probably time to talk about company that's on the banner at the top of the screen. That's going to be Owner's Box. Now I'm going to pull some stuff up so we can talk about it a little bit. I want to see, do they have next week's contest up yet? They don't. Okay. So we're going to talk about Owner's Box and what we've got going on now. Let's, I don't have anything else I can share. Do I have that grab? Maybe I do have something else I can share. This will be easier. Let's hop to a different channel. I got stuff everywhere, folks. Everywhere. On the fly, owning everything. When you're good, you're good. Let's stop presenting that. Oh, I can't share that image like that? Oh, I can. I'm so smart sometimes. I forget how smart I am. I surprise myself. I really do. Oh, that's a banner? Yeah, that'll be fine. Let's just make that a little bit smaller. Perfect. Perfect. Share screen, window, boom. There it is. There's the banner. That's what we got going on for Owner's Box. You want to click the link in the description of this video. Owner's Box ran the best NFL show or NFL contest you were going to find in the industry. Overlaid Every entry was worth like a little bit more than 10% of what you put into it. That's an incredible start. Even just being at neutral is awesome. But there was negative rake on this contest. Like I said, I ended up finishing 10th. I know Steve finished up a little bit ahead of me. He finished like 4th or 5th, somewhere, maybe 3rd even. I don't know, somewhere up there. I recognized a lot of names. But everything is set up here for you to try to I'm going to assume they do a comparable contest in week 2. Now, the deal has changed a little bit. You needed to get into it for the first week, but click the link in the description to sign up at Owner's Box. Turn off your ad blocker first. For some reason, that stops the link from working correctly. Don't ask me. I don't understand it. That's way beyond my pay grade. But if you turn off your ad blocker for a brief second and click those links, you're going to be fine. When you sign up, you'll get 2 separate things. From us, you're going to get 1 week of our NFL Sims Max package. This was a month last week. It's now down to a week. But this is set up so that you can use our Sims tool on Owner's Box, which is exactly what I did. I loaded up my lineups, and that put me into 10th place. It was very nice. Plenty of tweaks you can make on the Sims tools. Go to our YouTube channel, watch some of the videos that we have explaining the Sims tool. Greg, Steve Buzzard, the Colts, they've broken this one down. So if you need more work on the Sims tool, check that out. You also get up to a $500 bonus from Owner's Box. Whatever you put in up to $500, they are going to match. Now, it's going to be a drip, 4% of it for every dollar you play or something along those lines. But you can get up to $500 after that. You put in 500, you're going to have a slow trickle of 500. If you only have 100, then it's 100 for 100. And I'm expecting a really sizable contest again for week 2 with potential overlay or at the very least potential reduced rake. It will be, I expect, the best contest you can get into for week 2. So sign up for Owner's Box. Get a week of our NFL Sims Max package as long as you click the link in the description of this video. We're doing good, folks. We're doing good. Let's get the model back up on the screen and let's go to Astros and A's. Now, we're going to go back to Joseph Campbell. I have a lot of Astros players tonight. Is that good? So, 5.1 run implied total for the Astros, 3 for the A's. It is Framber Valdez going for Houston and Mason Miller going for Oakland. He's 7,600. Am I getting that one right? Let's make sure I have that right for right now. Mason Miller. Okay. Mason Miller not going to be going very deep into this game. Don't play Mason Miller. But now we got to have a conversation about Framber Valdez. So Valdez is an interesting guy to get to today. 29% strikeout rate to lefties, 22 to righties. We need to start there. I'm going to say it again. 29% strikeout rate to lefties, 22 to righties. 150x ISO to both. So we're not worried about it from a power perspective. Slightly better than average strikeout matchup here for the A's. All of that looks fine. We are against the A's. You know what I mean. So we're going to pull up the strikeout prop for Valdez. It is 6.5. Little bit of juice to the over. I got it at 5.7. But for me, as I look at this one right now, the A's projected lineup is 9 righties, which means we're not getting a 29% K rate to lefties from Valdez at all. We're getting 22.5. So we're getting a league average strikeout pitcher against a sea of righties. Now, Zach Geloff, Brent Rooker, these guys strike out a lot. Interesting dynamic. There is some upside. I don't really like the ownership here. Now, 9,800 is an amazing price. And Framber Valdez is probably the best point per dollar dude you're going to get to other than Logan Gilbert. But we have him 21% top 2 pitcher, and I have him at 20. I think he should be like 15 to 20% owned. He is 32% owned. He feels safe, but I don't feel like this is the best allocation of Framber Valdez. That's too many righties for him. And that really limits what you're looking for, which is the strikeout ceiling. Could he go out there and mow down 8 or 9 righties? Yeah, sure. Like, he's still a talented guy. I think he's overowned. I only have 5% of Valdez right now. I would rather get to Woodruff. I would rather get to Glass now. And as you'll see in a bit, I would certainly rather get to Logan Gilbert. I think Framber Valdez is the worst guy of the top four. Clearly talented, clearly a good spot against Oakland. I don't want to undersell him. If you like Valdez, I'm not saying it like that. He's still a 1 in 5 chance to be a top 2 pitcher. But 32% ownership is a little high for what we're getting here. Don't play Mason Miller, as I mentioned. Now, we need to talk a little bit about the Houston Astros. 4th in top stack. Now, I have them 6th, but let's call it 5% chance to be a top stack. Maybe we'll go 5.5. They are a terrible value, the worst on the slate. They've got 2 6K guys. They've got a couple 5K guys. Very, very difficult from a cost-effective side to get to Houston. But the upside here is great. I have no reason to not want to attack whatever's pitching for Oakland. They're going to have a 5+ run implied total, and the talent is here. I'm not getting to Houston right now. I'm getting to the Cubs. I'm getting to the Yankees. I'm getting to the Red Sox. But on paper, the upside of the Astros stack is fine. So to circle back to the question from Joseph Campbell, is that good or bad? I don't think it's bad because they're 16th in ownership at 3%. You could very easily play 8 or 9% aggregate Astros, 2.5 to 3 times the amount of the field, still have more lineups out there, and you're getting a team with a real legitimate upside. You're just going to have to cut some corners to save some money for pitching. But maybe that means Dylan Cease is your one, and you're picking up Zach Davies, Cutter Crawford, whatever guy. It's going to make it a lot easier to get to the Astros. We already detailed some of the value stacks like the White Sox or the Brewers where you could really supplement with Houston. So while I'm not getting to the Astros, I don't mind it. I know one thing. I don't really want to get to the A's. That's pretty simple for me. So don't play the Oakland A's. Are they cheap? Yes. Is that important today? I don't think so. I'm going to take a sip of water here. Very parched. I think I drank my weight in mimosas over the past 2 days. It was a lot. So I got to buckle up. Let's do this. 1 deep breath. Because now we got to get into the real one. Colorado Rockies have a 4.9 run implied total. The Cubs, I have at 6.2. It's Kyle Freeland on the hill for the Rockies. Don't play him. It's Jordan Wicks on the hill for the Cubs. Don't play him. We are here to talk about bats, and we are starting in the obvious spot. Number 1 in top stack. Number 7 in value for us. I got it at 4, but either way, this is the number 1 stack, and it is by miles and miles. The Cubs they're a full run, basically, ahead of the Dodgers implied total. It's not even close. You don't care at all about Kyle Freeland in any way. That much we're confident in. 146 x-ISO to lefties, that's limiting. 236 x-ISO to righties with a 13% K rate. Right now, I'm looking at 8 righties in the lineup for the Cubs. I have 41 Cubs stacks. We have them 12% owned. I have 23%. I want every bit of the Cubs if this is what their ownership is going to look like today, because it's the best spot on the day. Seiya Suzuki is 24% owned. That is a pretty aggressive chalk number. He's one of the best, probably the premier cash play for today, $4,200 outfielder. I'm still getting him. I assume I'm getting him as a one-off and not as much as the stacks. So let me look at that quickly. So we're looking for Cubs, Suzuki. Yeah, so I have 13% of my Suzuki as a one-off. So I am then neutral in stacks for him. Everything I see here says get all of the Cubs. The only guy that I have a minimal amount of is $6,800 Cody Bellinger, but I still have 9% of a guy that we're projecting for 1, which will probably be 3. This is the best team you could have today, bar none, and it is my favorite team to get to, other than the Yankees, who are obviously significantly less owned. But I'm eating the chalk of the Cubs without question. A lot of it'll be one-off guys, 2-mans and 3-mans, but no team looks better than the Cubs. But the Rockies look okay, like they normally do. Now, they're shit as a team, but 6th in top stack. I have it 5th. I have them 10th in top value. Well, let's just say they're like the 5th to 6th, some 4 to 8 somewhere. Best team for today. They're fifth in ownership at 6.5%. Unfortunately, I think they're already properly owned. Ryan McMahon's 5K, but everybody else is under that price tag. Brendan Rodgers is 11% owned, so everybody else is single digits in cores. I'll have some, not as much as I normally have. I do think the Rockies are still totally fine, but the Cubs are the piece of this one that we want the most. Man, the Cubs look damn good. I really hope they run out that many righties because Kyle Freeland is going to get nuked today in a big, big, big way. All righty. We'll keep it moving. 3 games to go. Now we're talking about my favorite pitcher for today. And this one, it shouldn't be all that surprising. We've got the Mariners taking on the Angels. 4.5 run implied total for Seattle. Remember, park factor, 86 for runs. Great pitching park. Angels implied total, 3. Now, who the hell knows what ends up being in this Angels lineup? What do we know for, let's see. Okay, we're good here. So let's talk Logan Gilbert. Because Reed Detmer's on the opposite side. This is a nice pitching matchup. Logan Gilbert is 40% owned today. 40. We have him 20% top 2 pitcher, 10% top value. I have it 31 and 18. So I am much, much higher on Logan Gilbert today than we are. And 40% ownership is a big number. But I think it's pretty clear that he should be the top pitching option today. The park saves him. Just limiting those runs, massive. If we just look at Logan Gilbert's numbers this year, 165 x-ISO to lefties, 27% K rate. 177 to righties, 24% K rate. Can he get a little weird with some power? Yeah. But you're not expecting to see a lot of scoring here. Logan Gilbert's strikeout prop today, 7.5. This is an incredible strikeout matchup the way I have it loaded. 27% K rate is what I'm seeing for the Angels. That's the high mark on the slate. Trey Cabbage, Paris, and Brett Phillips all project to strike out against Logan Gilbert 34% or higher. The lowest strikeout rate I have in this lineup today is only average at 21%. This feels like the clear safest spot. The Angels lineup stinks. It's the best strikeout matchup, and he's in the best park for limiting runs. If he keeps the ball in the yard, which shouldn't be all that difficult here against the Angels, I have a hard time seeing Logan Gilbert having a bad start unless he simply just gets Babbitt to death. I have 50% of Logan Gilbert. I will be eating this chalk. To me, he is the clear top pitching option on today's slate. Don't get away from Reed Detmers, though. He gets all of the benefits of this park as well. We see Detmers, 162 x-ISO to lefties. Doesn't get any strikeouts there. 28% strikeout to righties. Doesn't give up any power there either. Detmer's 5.5 strikeout prop. That's exactly where I have him. It's looking like he's going to see all but one righty. That's great for Reed Detmers and great for his upside. He's 13% owned. I think that's about where he should be. This is a pitching matchup in a big, big way. I have 2 random Seattle stacks, but unless you're trying to go to the Angels to be different on the opposite side of Logan Gilbert's ownership, you're not going to the Angels at all. And I have very minimal interest in Seattle in this spot. All I want is Logan Gilbert and, to a lesser extent, Reed Detmers. All righty. Then we have 2 more games to go. Folks, hit that like button if you haven't yet. We're up to 115 people watching. That makes me feel at least a little bit happier. Slowly but surely getting some more people in here. We're going to go Giants and Guardians. 4 run implied total for San Francisco. 3.5 for the Guardians. Alex Cobb throwing for San Francisco. Obviously a great spot to throw if you're wanting to limit power. Gavin Williams going for Cleveland today. Both guys unowned. 3% coming into Alex Cobb. 2% coming into Gavin Williams. Now I'm getting to Cobb. We have him 9% top 2 pitcher, 9% top 2 value. He's 3% owned. He's 7,800 pitching at home against Cleveland. Now, is it a bad strikeout matchup? Absolutely. These guys don't K. Quan, Ramirez, Josh Naylor, 15% K rate or lower against righties. And Cobb's not much of a strikeout guy. If he's going to get it, it's going to be against righties, and he's going to see a sea of lefties. So Cobb's strikeout upside is piss poor, but this park is perfect. He doesn't really give up too much power to begin with. Cleveland has some, but not a crazy amount. Ramirez and Naylor in particular. But he's just in such a great spot that if the ball doesn't leave the yard, I think that Alex Cobb has the opportunity to go deep in this game and really control it. At 7,800, given the fact that he's 2.5% owned, I think he's just incorrect there. I have 12%. I think that's perfect. I love what this game is. While it might not be a strikeout game, if he's just under-owned, I like him for the park. Gavin Williams on the other side, he's $200 more expensive than Cobb. That's at least one little piece to point out. It's a much better strikeout matchup for Gavin Williams. He gets most of his strikeouts against righties. No real power issues. He's just not going to go as deep into the game as Alex Cobb is going to go. And that's, I think, what my limiting factor ends up being. I am not getting to Gavin Williams. If you think he's going to go a little bit deeper, I think Gavin Williams is a totally fine option. As I look at their strikeout props for today, Cobb is at 3.5 juice to the under. Gavin Williams is at 4.5 juice to the over. And that's basically where I have it. Maybe I have Cobb a little too high. We'll see what the bottom of the Guardians lineup ends up looking like. But I like Cobb in this spot. I don't like offense. Giants are 16th in top stack. Guardians are 18th in top stack. I have no disagreements there. They're 10th and 15th in ownership. If you're trying to pick off individual bats, that's fine. But this is a 7.5 run implied total. Two talented pitchers in a park that limits power. I'm staying away from the bats in this one. Minimal amounts of the pitchers, but I don't mind them at all. Little bit of a sip here. As we close this one out, final game for today. Hit that like button. Check out all the links in this description of the video. If you're looking to sign up for anything at Stochastic, that's the way to do it. We have the Dodgers and the Padres. 5.3 run implied total for the Dodgers. Hold on. Do I not see that? Am I ignoring something? So I look at chat in a different way when I'm producing. Did I miss Jorge gifting subs? Because it doesn't show up in my StreamYard. Holy shit. Yes, I did. Jorge, sorry I missed that, man. 20 gifted subs from Jorge. I know he picked up a dub yesterday in the NFL season. So 9th in the Millie. Congrats to Jorge, man. That must have been a fun sweat. Thanks for gifting all those subs. Some people got one that don't deserve it. But, you know, I'm happy that some of the other people that got one, they probably do need it. Dodgers and Padres. Gavin Stone going for the Dodgers. He is 6K and I think an okay value play at no ownership whatsoever, but we're not getting into that one. Don't play Gavin Stone if you're only playing one lineup. Pedro Avila going for the Padres. That's what's making the Dodgers look a little bit better. He's unowned and he should be. Now, we got to talk Dodgers bats. I have them 4th in top stack. They are expensive. They're kind of like the Astros today. They're 6.5% owned, which is 6th. I have 3.5%. I only have 3 stacks. But the park here, a dream. 120 park factor to righties and to lefties. We are expecting a lot of power. Only Miguel Rojas basically doesn't have it at all in my projected lineup. It's all about salary, guys. If you have enough salary to get to the Dodgers, then please play them. They're one of the 5 most likely teams to be the highest scoring stack today. You're just going to have to find the way that you save salary elsewhere because Betts is 6,500, Freeman's 61, Will Smith is 55, JD is 52. They're very, very hard to get to, and I'm not getting there right now, but I'm not telling anybody that you shouldn't. Padres on the opposite side, I think they're properly owned. They're 8th in ownership at 5.7%. I have them 8th in my stack score. If you get to Tatis or Soto or Machado, they're always fine plays. I'm not really prioritizing the Padres today because they're also pretty expensive, but they're not in a better spot. Their run total is a full run underneath the Dodgers. If they're going to be basically the same cost, I'm going to have a much harder time getting to the Padres. Well, guys, I don't have much else, so let's sum it up. For me right now, to start the day, the Yankees and the Red Sox game is a game where I want all of the offense I can get. I hope that weather holds up. The Cubs are the clear top stack. That should not be surprising at all. My favorite pitching options are Logan Gilbert Dylan Cease, and then it gets pretty blurry. I'm happy to pick up some guys that don't have a lot of ownership at that point in time. That is where I stand right now, 10:54 a.m. Go check out my NFL Contenders videos. Both are posted to the Stochastic YouTube channel right now. Go check out my MLB Contenders. Both are posted to the Stochastic YouTube channel right now. If you guys watch this strategy show, please watch the Contenders as well, although you're already going to know that information. This show is obviously here. Hit that like button if you haven't done it already. MLB Live Before Lock will be tonight. You get Greg, you get Eric. They're breaking it all down till 7. Then we've got NFL Live Before Lock later tonight. You guys know where I'll be all week. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, every single day, Monday through Friday. You get me and me only for the MLB Strategy Show. It's been a blast today, folks. I'm happy to have you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck on everything you do, whether it's MLB or NFL tonight. And I will see you guys in the morning. Peace.